when it comes to mental health and this whole space, it's been incredibly difficult for many people to get self-care while we're in a pandemic. Some people depend on the outdoors, and other people get their self-care from being around other people. When you're at home and you're in an emotional or a creative slump, how do you recover? Like when you don't feel like you have anything inside to give to other people, what are some activities or things that you do to nourish your soul?
I feel like, yeah, this whole phase has kind of been like that. It's kind of been quite up and down. But um, when I am feeling like that, it's either give or take. You either give that energy out or you need to take that energy. And I've talked to quite a lot of friends as well about that I need a really good support system around me, and I do, which I'm very thankful for that. And when I am feeling like that, then instead of giving out energy, sometimes I need to absorb that creative stuff. And so whether that's sitting down to watch something or reading something, and not for a productive or some kind of result orientated reason of, because I'm always like, I need to do this for something else.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to watch this film for research. And I don't actually sit there to just enjoy it or, yeah, and it will just because I can. And so I burn out quite easily. So with that creative stuff, I have to always remember that when I'm working on something, the creative energy is going out. So I also need to make um, space for me to have like art estates with myself where I'm just rejuvenating myself with art, and not for any other reason, just to refill my creative well. And because if I don't do that, then I just run dry. My well is dry, and I'm digging at the sand, and it's a very painful thing. So I feel like I'm pretty lucky in the sense that when I feel like I'm in that slump, like I like there are already flags up for me going, okay, you need to look after yourself, girl. You need to take some time out. And usually I'm pretty good with being gentle on myself.
Oh, I mean that point about you like feeling like you have to do artistic things, or like whether you're watching a movie or whatever, like there has to be some sort of purpose. Like, okay,
Mm.
what like you sort of guilt trip yourself into feeling like, oh, like, are you just gonna be lazily watching that thing? Like you feel like you have to either take notes or like get something productive out of it. And
Yeah.
like after a certain point, you're just like, okay, like I'm watching all this career related stuff and stuff to like enrich me and whatever, but like, can I just like watch something trashy? Can I just watch something like, just really random and just allow myself to kind of escape?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the sort of
Hmm.
the keys to like maintaining that creative well is like you have to let yourself escape, and you have to let yourself kind of just forget everything and really kind of get lost
Yeah.
and
And
find something new.
yeah, I feel like when you don't put that pressure on yourself, your brain starts to soften. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's easier for you to absorb the material anyway. And so, like for me during quarantine, I did it. I'm not usually one to watch reality TV shows, but I ended up just watching one from China about this um, uh, about these 109 girls basically go and compete to become like the last top nine people to form like a K-pop but Chinese pop superstar group.
Mm-hmm.
And so I watched that and I felt really guilty at first, but then I'm like, you know what? Like nothing's really going on, and I just want to yeah refuel myself. And I was trying to reason with myself like why it's okay for me to watch this and stay up late watching it. But then in
Mm-hmm.
the end, I'm like, I just like it, so just let me watch it. Like I'm just arguing with myself here, so I'm like, girl, I just want to watch it. Just let me have some time off. And I'm like, okay. You watch it then. So I watched it, and without even knowing, like because my brain softened and there was no pressure on having to pick up things or trying to watch it for research, without even knowing, I think I at the end of the show, I had the surge of like motivation and energy after seeing how they worked in their craft of being dancers and singers, and how hungry that they were to how hungry they were to get to the top. And even though I guess it's kind of similar in terms of like the art, and I didn't watch it for that, I kind of got that, and I really appreciate like the professionalism that they had, and yeah, the drive that they had to go and chase their dream. And I was just like, well, I didn't expect to get this out of this show that I was just watching for fun.
Yeah, and I mean that the way that you put it, the softening of the brain, it's like that has to happen in order for you to be able to have that moment where you're just in awe, because sometimes you're just so like
Mm,
analytical about things and you're just really trying to think about it in a certain productive way that you don't just let yourself
yeah.
like just be a kid kind of, and kind of like just like take it in for what it is, and not try to
Hmm.
contextualize and anchor it to something. um I mean, in terms of this like sense of self-awareness, another topic that you're passionate about is this concept of leaning into your vulnerabilities, not away from them. And I really love this mindset because so many of us are taught to do the exact opposite. We're told to hide our vulnerabilities and do whatever we can to downplay them. We're told that if we're too shy, or if we're too ugly, or if we're too Asian, that we should minimize those parts. But what are your personal experiences and thoughts on leaning into your vulnerabilities?
I feel like the more I lean into them, it's scary at first, but the more I do, it's the more I feel like I get out of myself. And when I do that, I feel like I'm allowing other people to be more of themselves with themselves, not with me, but with themselves. And in doing that, they can hopefully pass that light on to other people. And it's not like something that's like super heroic. It's just the more I do it, I just feel more human. I feel more like myself. And there are obviously times where I'm like, well, this is hard, or yo, I'm not ready for that talk, or this is getting too adult. Like I don't want to go into this territory. I don't know what to say, or how to do. Why I mean that's what I mean by I'm very gentle on myself.
Hmm.
Sometimes I can get very critical, but I because I know that we have that side to ourselves of being very critical, that means I have to be even more gentle with myself.
Hmm.
And so it's this whole thing of when you're able to step into the unknown, the scary thing, the things that the insecurities, the things that trigger you, the traumas, the inner child stuff that's screaming at you. It's hard, but no one said it was going to be easy.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the alternative is that you don't address those things, that you completely shut yourself off. And I had this view, or like this way of thinking as well, going, I'm just going to protect myself and I'm not going to show people who I really am or how I really feel. And I'm just going to have this wall so that I can be protected. But then you just kind of go about the world in your own bubble, and you're just knocking into things, but you're not actually feeling. So even feeling things like, I don't know, the worst, like heartbreak or loss, or grief. It's just, it goes, oh, but then at the end of that suffering, you have to know that there's bliss on the other side, and you're not going to be in that suffering for long. When you'll make it to the other side. I promise you.
Yeah, I mean, I love that message. It takes a long time, and it's this process, and I can only imagine for you, especially since there's like, I mean, you're an actor, so there's layers of like identities and things that are like compiling onto each other, and so to be able to go and sort of remove all those filters and all those layers, and to be able to actually get down to like the nucleus of your personality, like there's something about it, like whether you are going back to an old artistic love that's always been a part of you, or you are listening to old music that you forgot that you really enjoy, like there's something about leaning into parts of yourself, whether it's creative or emotional. um
Mhm.
I I love this discussion of you know being more whole with yourself, and sort of being more at peace with yourself, and sort of finishing off on a more positive note. I wanted to ask you about your opinion on happiness, because I feel like that's something that's kind of a weird concept nowadays, especially with everything that's going on in the world. The best thing about happiness is that it's contextual and it can change and it can evolve. And given everything that's been going on in your life, the positive or the negative, what does happiness look like to you today and in the future?
I'm not sure what it'll look like for me in the future. Like you said, it changes, and I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, happiness is really something that I feel like we all need to define for ourselves, and not, have anyone else's influence over it, because everyone else's definition of happiness and success is should be different.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I think being able to continue what I'm doing and love it, I think that is happiness for me. And to be able to express myself freely, that is happiness. And I mean I love storytelling, and I also am like an editor, so it doesn't really matter what I do or where I dabble into, as long as it rings true to me, then I know that happiness will be on the other side. And for like, I know for a lot of my childhood and growing up, my family would always equate, especially from immigrant parents, equate happiness to financial stability.
Yeah.
And you kind of, yeah, same old story. And so you kind of work your way backwards, So it's like, well, if you're financially stable, then you'll be healthy. And if you're healthy, that means you're working. If you're working, that means you're happy. And so it's kind of like the end result. Whereas for me, I'm like, that's just too far. Like, it's just that, like, it seems like a straight line, but it's I don't like that algorithm or whatever, that system that you've got here. So for me, it's just, I would always choose what makes me happy, and then everything else can follow. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what I do as long as I'm happy, because it's like, well, what's the point? Life is way too short. Yeah, it's too short to do things that you don't want to do. You just want to do it because it will mean you're successful or that you've got money.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, um, talking about, you know, uh, uh, just and sort of going back to what you were saying about like not wanting to be 60 and not wanting to look back and feel like, wow, like, I didn't live my life. I lived my
Hmm.
parents' life, or I lived for somebody else. And, you know, um, the like we were talking about, happiness luckily can change. And I love that you are again in this creative space, and that you have this mindset. Yeah, I'm so excited to see all the different projects and the different things that you're going to be working on. In our conversation zip by really quick. But before we actually head out, what are you working on, and where can we find you, Zana?
At the moment, I am working on a kids animation series called Tales of Night Night, and it basically follows these two twin 7-year-old kids, and they go on these adventures through their Nine Nights purse, and they learn about like different life lessons, and they bring it back into their real life. And you can find me on Instagram at xana.nana.
Awesome. Well, Zana, it's been a pleasure. I feel like we had a really, like artistically, I feel very nourished and sort of heard, and that's always a really good
Amazing.
thing. But again, you are always welcome back on the show, and everybody, make sure you tune in this weekend. Mulan, definitely go ahead and check out Zana, and we will go ahead and we'll keep in touch.
Thank you so much for having me and carving time out for me. I really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Zana. Take care.
Bye.